Well, hello again.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to our channel. Hey, before we even start, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe, like our video, and share it.
Yes.
And make sure you comment.
Yes. Little introduction to this next video. So this video is going to be not different in terms
Probably
of...
because I'm nervous.
Well, maybe. Not because different in terms of anything we have, like we've done the interview thing before, but we're going to get a little bit more into... I'm going to interview Erin, but it's not going to be an interview that maybe you typically will see. We're going to interview her to talk about her trauma, her anxiety, and her addiction, because she's been very public about it. But I think that, and you know, she really feels like it's time that she goes ahead and opens up about it. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
What was the first kind of event or thing, trauma, that you would say kind of started you down the path with the addiction?
The main thing that kind of like topped it all off for me was being sexually abused. Okay. Yeah, I was 14. Mm-hmm. I was living in Chattanooga at the time. He was 21. He was the assistant swim team coach, and I had a massive crush on him. Mm-hmm. You know, what at the time I didn't realize he was doing was he was grooming me. Uh-huh. And he, you know, would make me think that he liked me and that I had a chance with him. But then he would say things like, "You're too old," or "He was too old for me." Mm-hmm. And then when it was almost time for him to leave, because he was living with his sister for the summer, mm-hmm, and doing the swim team and all of those things, he called me and asked me to come to his house. Mm. I mean, he forced me to do things to him. Mm. And prior to that day, I'll never forget, I had never even seen I'd never even seen a male private part. Nothing. Yeah. Like nothing. I was very naive. Yeah. And after that incident, I just remember thinking it was my fault. Mm-hmm. I remember feeling disgusting and feeling like, well, if he forced me to do that to him, then obviously that's the only way I can get a guy. Right. The worst part, and you and I have talked about this a lot too, is that I was on my period. Right. That created a whole another set of trauma around my cycle and bleeding and just shame and guilt and angst about having a period. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even to this day, it's been a problem for me. I'm not one of those wives that wants to have sex on their period, because when I bleed, it's traumatizing. Yeah. Right. And so how did you then cope after that? First? Oh, well, and I use the word cope because I really couldn't think of another word, but I wasn't coping. Well, correct, but I'm saying, so I would say, like, after the sexual assault, then what, I guess, the series of things that then kind of went from there? Well, I started doing drugs. Mm-hmm. I started drinking. So would you say that like you said, with the sexual assault, that kind of then opened you up to the addiction too? Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Because I didn't want to deal with my feelings. Whatever I could get my hands on to just escape reality. Yeah. So I didn't have to think about him and what he did to me and how it rendered me. Yeah. So you basically, what you did was you took control of whatever you could externally, but it gave you a sense of where you were like, even though you were out of control, I had zero control. You were controlling your out of control behavior, basically. Right. Yeah. Like, I don't remember years of my life. Mm-hmm. Years. And sometimes I think, like, with our videos and how I lose shit all the time, Yeah.
That honestly, like, people write, like, oh my God, I'm kind of worried about her.
Yeah.
I do sometimes believe that there is some damage there.
Sure.
So,
I don't want to laugh. I'm not trying to. No, just because it's like, because we know, like, you know, I mean,
because people think it's staged, and they think
Yeah.
that, like, I'm making up that I lose
Right.
this shit on a day-to-day basis, and I don't even know. I probably lost 10 things today. But yeah, it's not funny. We're not making light of this at all.
Well, the thing is that I think you can't make light of the seriousness of the topic. You just try to do the best you can with recognizing that these are my faults and these are the just kind of results. So obviously with the drugs and the alcohol and the addictions, that next stage, but obviously then I know that you have anxiety.
Yeah.
Do you think you've always had anxiety and then the addiction kind of just
for sure
intensified it?
I mean, I think I was born anxious.
Okay.
And I think certain people are born hypersensitive and predisposed to certain things. And so I think I was born an incredibly hypersensitive, hyper-aware individual. And I think that translates, I think that's what anxiety is. Yeah. So I definitely think, I was born with anxiety.
Yeah. One of the big questions I'm sure a lot of people want to know is how do you manage on a daily basis?
Well, I definitely have learned that number one, I have to have my spiritual grounding. I have a very solidified routine. The first thing I do every morning when I wake up is I read the Bible verse of the day. So I start my day with scripture. So I really try to combat especially after bad dreams.
Would you say that that's I think you've described it before, but would you call that grounding yourself in your faith?
Yeah. Another thing that is just like it's non-negotiable for me is movement.
Right.
I have to move.
Yeah.
I have to move. It has to be a walk. It has to be a workout. It has to be dancing. It has to be getting out in the yard and pulling weeds or watering the flowers. I have to physically move my body every single day.
There's an intention
behind that movement.
Yeah.
Because when I move my body, it makes my mind feel better. Just practicing, and I'm getting better at this, present living, present moments, being present. But that's I'm in that present moment. And one of the things that I really learned about combating anxiety is that when we can tap into those five senses by listening, seeing, touching, and tasting, that we are literally able to really bring ourselves to that presence and get out of, because anxiety is thinking about the future.
Right.
And I'm bad about that. You know that.
Right.
So, getting into that present by tapping into, taste it, feel it, touch it.
Right. So the woman you are now.
Yes.
And everything you've walked through, trudged through, fought through, just tooth and nail. The woman you are today, if you, as the woman you are right now, could go and talk to that little girl, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that, number one, that she is worthy and that she deserves the world. Number two, that she doesn't need anybody else to validate her, because she is absolutely capable of everything that she thinks she can do. I would tell her that she can feel safe. I would tell her not to compromise. I would tell her not to listen to other people when she knows in her gut that what she feels is right is right. I would tell her to never, ever not do something because she was afraid. I would tell her to smell the roses more. I could sit and talk to her for quite some time.
I'm sure.
I would tell her that I love her now.
Yeah.
And that I thank her, because even though maybe my life wasn't the way that I wanted it to be, and maybe I didn't have like the, you know, I didn't have the traditional go to high school and then go to college and have a prom and all those things. Nothing was conventional for me.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has been fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
Now my goal is to help other people who feel robbed in some way or another,
mm-hmm.
to know that while time is never guaranteed, it's never too late to be the best version of yourself that you can be.
Well, guys, we hope that you have enjoyed this. Please subscribe, like, and share.
And please ask questions or comment and let us know.
Comment, and also if there's other questions that you would like us to answer, drop them in there. And we will do a part 2 and, you know, possibly a part 3, and we'll just see you next time. But
deuces.